Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. How to move from being attached to near and dear to loving the near and dear. So, difference between an attachment and love. In a big difference is, one is very first thing, love is praised in Shastra. The dynamic form of the love is a compassion. The compassion is praised. Attachment is criticized. Right? What is that? Kama eshaha, krodha eshaha, rajoguna samudbhavaha, mahashano, mahapapma, vidyena miha vairinam. Love basically, which results into compassion, of course, brings a preparedness for the knowledge. Whereas attachment basically hampers, becomes obstruction in gaining knowledge. Attachment is a leaning. A leaning shows I am not able to stand on my feet. That's how. That's how. Who will take the stick? No one likes, right? If I just take a stick, the people will add 10, 20 years in my age. It's a leaning. As a jiva, I am very weak. The definition of a jiva is who is a dependent entity. Dependent. Dependent for what? Huh? As a jiva, you definitely have this insecurity. You don't have insight into the thing that, let me ask this question, am I insecure or not? That needs a grace of Ishvara. Which leads to Purushartha Viveka actually. That leads to Vairagya, which is very, very important value. To make your mind healthy, naturally you require here healthy mind. To make your mind healthy, one value is most important. One thing is most important in your life, which your mind should have, is Vairagya. A dispassion. Dispassion means there is an objectivity. Means freedom from superimposition. There is no subjectivity, no projection. And so you see the objects, names and forms I today also discuss. And everything has a purpose, certain value. Everything has a value, including money, has a value. So if you impose an extra value on money other than, more than the object the money has, that's called attachment to the money. Extra value. What is extra value I superimpose which money doesn't have? Money has a buying power, it's objective value. To run your life, to sustain your life, you need money. Vedanta cannot help to sustain life. It cannot help. Just because I am studying Bhagavad Gita, well, I will every day get lunch from somewhere. Need not be. There is no free lunch in the world. It's objective value. But then I superimpose. Money will give me security. The addition of value of security on money, which it doesn't have, brings an attachment, leaning to the money. It doesn't have. Money cannot give a security because itself is insecure. We have seen that. Like that all the objects have a value, certain purpose. If your mind is able to see the value which object has, more than that your mind does not superimpose on it any extra value, well, your mind is free from attachment. Viragaha it's called. Viragaha. Ragaha attachment. Viragaha. Vigataha ragaha yasmat. If I say manaha, then tat. Viragam manaha. Tasya bhavaha vairagyam. The status of the mind not to superimpose any extra value on any object more than the object has value, more than the object carries the value, is vairagyam. If you develop an attachment by superimposing a certain value on a given thing, then definitely there is a leaning. You will develop an attachment. Something you look upon as a source of security, certain things you look upon as a source of happiness, source of joy, certain place, object, some person's company you look upon as a source of peace. All is, and once you look upon it, in Shastra it is called Shobhana Adhyasa. It's a superimposition, but Shobhanam, something positive, right? At certain places you superimpose certain negative things, which doesn't have poor thing, but you think that way. So here it's called Shobhana Adhyasa, positive. Oh, money will give me security, etc. I generally don't like to discuss about money because people immediately has that this Swami is all the time. It's not like that, but we have a leaning. More than leaning, less independence, less a qualification for freedom. You are already lean, you are already bound, you are already dependent. And you want what? Freedom, independence. Could you follow? So where the raga etc. is there, that's how Shastra says, Kamaeshaha, Krodeshaha, Rajoguna, Samudbhava, etc. etc. Narak, what is that? Trividham narakasedam dvaram nashanam atmanah. Kama krodas tatha lobha tasmat etat trayam tyajet. Bhagavad Gita has a lot of psychology. Almost 70% of the subject matter of Bhagavad Gita is psychology. But that psychology is quite different from the psychology which is taught in universities. So, this raga, not understanding the things as it is. Superimpositions are not always bad. One superimposition brings you closer to moksha. Another superimposition takes you away from moksha. A deliberate superimposition brings you closer to the moksha by giving preparedness. All meditations, upasana, is all deliberate superimposition. A given thing, nikrushtvastvani utkrushtvastvaropaha dhyanam. Thing is very nikrushtvastvani. On that you superimpose something higher. There is a stone. You superimpose Shiva. There is a lingam. That brings closer to moksha. But the superimposition which is born of aviveka and ajnanam, there is a knowledge actually. You know it is a stone. Ye to superimpose ultimately. Right? So there the basis is jnanam. Here the basis is ajnanam. That's how you superimpose extra thing. So basically, the difference between raga and love is this first thing, in which there is a leaning. In love, there is independence. That's how you are closer to the goal of independence of freedom. Yeah. If one wants an absolute freedom centered on oneself, one should be relatively independent. That's called preparedness. Second difference between two. Since it is a leaning, basically, therefore you basically suffocate that thing for your benefit. Yeah. Means there is always a condition on your part that thing should give me what I really want. That thing should give me a joy all the time. That thing should give me a peace. That person should give me a peace all the time, or joy all the time, security all the time, something. So basically, once you superimpose a certain attribute which it doesn't have, poor thing, then you basically, since you have become dependent on that, you always wish to fulfill that, through that. And a thing fails sometime. And when it is failing, when a condition is not fulfilled, well, definitely you will, your so-called love, attachment, turns into aversion. Attachment just gets converted to aversion. It's conditional love. Always there is a condition. It's a selfishness. In attachment, you have a love for that thing, but actually you have leaned on that, and so it's a selfish motive. Love, there is an acceptance. You are not leaning on that thing for anything. That person may be leaning on you for the joy. You are not leaning on that person or etc. person for joy, etc. No. That's how there is a healthy relationship. Yeah. There's a healthy relationship in a love. You don't seek happiness, etc. elsewhere. You become a source of happiness. Yeah? Very healthy thing. Love is a very healthy thing. One is conditional, other is unconditional. There is an acceptance of a thing. Where there is a love, there is an acceptance of a person, etc., as he, she is. Anyway, so how to move from being attached to near and dear? So what should we do? Study. Study this. More you study, more you come to know about the nature of self, more your dependence for security, etc., on other will slowly reduce. Definitely reduce. There are other things also, which of course, on the object on which you are leaning is temporary. Everything is impermanent here, everything is changing, and therefore leaning will be dangerous. The thing on which I lean, the person on which I lean, just move away. And you fall. That's how people fall. Psychologically, I'm saying. Just fall. There's a void in the life. Because you are dependent on that person and person has just gone. It's a devastating thing. It's devastating. It's a foolishness to be too much dependent on. It's like leaning on a cardboard chair or trying to sit on a cardboard chair. Looks like this, but as you as you sit. So, as spiritual people, I have always seen all this kind of unpleasant things happen in their life, inevitable things happen in life, but they are ready for that, partially. Therefore, they also feel a tragedy in everything. But I have seen them, they just get up. Other people are not able to get up for a long time. So basically, with the help of, with the grace of Ishvara, etc., definitely one will have a certain healthy mind in which you will not lean for all these things. You know, you are the source. May not be it so clear to you, but you know you are the source of security, you are the source of joy. Nothing in the world gives a joy. If you analyze within 5 minutes, you will know. No time, no space, no place, no object, not any attribute of object is called happiness. Happiness is just a fullness which cannot be acquired by contact with the object. But anyway. What is self-realization in Buddhism and Christianity? I have not much idea. but one thing is there. In a Buddhism, the self, the truth of the self is illusion or non-self. They call anatta or something. I forgot that word. So there is not a self which is permanent, which is the basis what we talk about, unchanging self, etc. Nityam, which is eternal, etc. No. There is no permanence anywhere. Sarvam kshanikam. Everything is interconnected and everything is impermanent. Superimposing, this is all Buddhist. Superimposing permanency on anything will be the cause of suffering. That's how they believe. So therefore, if self in reality is a non-self, shunyam, what is the goal of life? What is the self-realization? You should realize that you are non-self, you are shunyam, which they call it as a nirvana. So that much I know. Self-realization means you should know that you are shunyam. Really? They give an example also of a flame. Well, the flame is, every moment there is a new flame. But new flame is occurring so fast in a lamp that you feel a continuity of the flame. There is no continuity. Every moment there is a new flame. So this is how the self is. Kshanikam. momentary consciousness. And ultimately, well, it extinguishes. But one should realize it. And so realization of this in this life, well, that I am a shunyam. That's called nirvana. That's a liberation, they have said. That much I know in Buddhism. Christianity, I have no idea. But one, two things I know in Christianity is that they see the self as related to the God. Yeah. And in a spiritual path, your aim is always to be like a Christ. For that, you have to develop two values. They emphasize two values. One is a humility, and second is love. Christ was having both the values. So your goal in a spiritual path is this. And of course, liberation is nothing but going to heaven, etc. But here, you should align basically with this divinity, etc. Follow Jesus' teachings and lead a life which is in alignment with divine, etc. That's the self-realization, if you want to say. Well, and so this is what I know. More than that, I have no idea actually. Anyway, so this is regarding self-realization in Buddhism and Christianity. Quite distinct from we never use this word actually, realization. Is this realization somehow brings that one day you come across the real self, either in a heat of meditation, etc. You just come across that real self, Brahman, and that self-realization. Self-realization is nothing but you are no more ignorant of the self. You know the self as it is. No doubt, no confusion, no orientation, free from everything. That we call, here's realization is aparoksha jnanam. Atma is aparoksha. Atma is immediate. Knowledge of Atma also is immediate. Immediate means there is no vyavadhanam of means of knowledge. You know you are. For that you don't use any means of knowledge. Neither you use any senses to know that you are. Neither you use your mind to know that you are. In fact, before your mind thinks, you know that you are. It's not that just because I think, therefore I am. Right? You know very well all this story. It's not that I think, therefore I am. Even he realized, he got a self-realization that I am, therefore I think, at least. So you are there even before thought arises. You are there when thought is there. You are there when thought is not there. So therefore, I know I exist without any means of knowledge. There are two things. One is you know the world with the help of senses, called pratyaksham. You know, so whatever is in the criteria of the senses, you directly contact through your senses, and then, well, there is a sensory perception. That is one thing. And there are many things which you know, paroksham. Paroksham means which is indirect. Akshanaha param, paroksham. Akshanaha param. Away from akshana, akshan, there is a word called akshi and aksham. Akshi is generally used for the eyes. Aksham means any sense organ. Akshanaha param, which is away from the senses. That's called paroksham. Away. That also you know. You know, through inference. So there are two things in the world. Certain things are pratyaksham, certain things are paroksham. Covered entire world. But the self is aparoksham, which is not pratyaksham. You cannot see the self through the senses because it is behind the sense. Behind, now you understand. It's a very basis for the senses, right? Because of which the senses are conscious and function. So therefore, Atma is not a pratyaksham. Atma is not paroksham. Atma cannot be paroksham. Atma is you. So, well, definitely Atma is called not pratyaksham, not paroksham. Atma is called aparoksha, immediate. Even you don't need means of knowledge to know. You know this much that you are. More than that, you need a means of knowledge to know about yourself. You are an existent being, you know. You are a conscious being, you know. But I am a limitless existence or limitless consciousness, I do not know. There the Shastra is required. But just to know that you are, you don't need any means of knowledge. You have not to come to Vedanta to know that you are and you are a conscious being. No, you know. You cannot deny I am a conscious being. To deny I am a conscious being, you should be a conscious being. Right? You cannot deny. One who says I am not Brahman definitely is Brahman. Yeah. To deny I am... yeah. Anyway, so what is the significance of doing pradakshinams and the various numbers like 9, 11, 108 times of doing something as a prayer? Pradakshina is basic pradakshina, namaskara, which we call them. These are also like doing a sashtanga, etc., in front of the Lord, in front of the deity. And the pradakshina is also namaskara, but in circulation. I feel to know the Lord from all the sides. I think so. I have not much thought over that, and maybe some other valid reason for that, maybe some more. But there are certain books on Hinduism one should definitely read, which describe the reasoning for all these kind of things. Why do you do this bindi, and why do you do namaskara, and etc.? Why do we wear the janoi and upanayanam, etc.? There is there. More than that, I have no idea. And that to number 9, 11, or 108 times. I don't know. How do I apply the knowledge that I am what I seek, that I am the 10th man? For example, when I worry about something, I understand that I am not the worry. How does this knowledge help me overcome that worry when the object of my worry is still there? Yeah. So can the person wait for tomorrow morning? We are going to discuss this thing, and even the worry, that feeling, etc., is not away from this Brahman, right? When you say I am limitless, then this feeling also is included. And therefore, we are not trying to neutralize the feeling. We welcome the feeling, any feeling, including fear or anything. But I think I should talk to that first, and then we can understand a little more. And this thing, how do I apply the knowledge, etc.? That's a question always there. One should lead a certain alert life. Our whole day, we remain generally mechanical. We are very mechanical. So we should lead a certain, we should bring a certain alertness in our daily life. Alertness is a skill. And it is like developing any other skill. Like swimming is a skill. Driving also is a skill. Well, how do you develop this swimming skill? By swimming. How do you learn swimming? It's a skill, but how do you learn that? How do you acquire that skill? By swimming. How do you acquire this skill of driving? By driving. Not by reading books. So, well, how do I develop the skill of alertness? By becoming alert. I'm not. So, before you develop that skill, there is some learning activity, right? In swimming, also learning activity. In driving, also learning activity. So, there is a learning activity. In learning activity, you have to concentrate on certain aspects, certain behavior of yourself, which are very mechanical. Mannerism, etc. we call it. Mechanical. I was talking to our Chris in the afternoon. What they call it, fidgeting or something. Fidgeting, yeah. So you all the time, your leg is, or some person takes a pen and, clicking the pen all the time. Somebody puts a hand on the hair, etc. Many things we keep doing. So there you have to, there are two things now. In mechanical things, certain things you have to stop it. Certain things you have to simply become conscious of. Now all this kind of the behavior, as I told you, right? Clicking the pen and etc., etc. Well, there you have to stop it. Consciously. Consciously, when you stop this mechanical behavior, mostly at the level of body, you are becoming alert naturally, and then only you're becoming conscious of, and you stop it. Now, there are certain involuntary actions in the body. Involuntary, mechanical. There you just become conscious. Don't stop. Like blinking of eyes. Blinking of eyes is mechanical. Just become conscious of the blinking of eyes. Conscious of the opening of eyes and closing the eyes. It is happening. You just become conscious. Breathing, involuntary. Voluntary breathing is pranayama. This is involuntary breathing. It is inhalation, exhalation is happening, but you are not conscious of. Just become conscious of that. All bring alertness. That bring alertness. So, like that, certain mechanical behavior. First, we will try to certain mechanical behavior, we will try to stop it. Certain mechanical behavior, we just become conscious of. And well, this is one. There are certain meditations which can help you, because the mechanicalness is there at every level, not just at physical level, at the level of speech also. Sometimes we speak certain words without meaning. Right? It may be a cultural also. Like we hear thank you, etc. Keep saying and saying and saying. How many times in a day we don't know. We may not mean that we are really thankful more than I think in the Thanksgiving, but but keep saying. Wherever activity is there, the mechanicalness can come. There is a verbal activity. There is a mechanicalness. So you, even with a length of the speed you speak words, you can be conscious of what you speak. And you avoid certain words not to use. That's how we have a discipline at various levels. One is a physical discipline. And so in physical discipline, you discipline your physical body. It includes even hunger, thirst and everything, your sleep, and just trying to regulate them. Physical discipline. And when you try to discipline a physical body, definitely you are curbing your mechanicalness. People eat sometimes mechanically. They don't know. They are not conscious of what they eat, how much they eat. So it's both the discipline at both the level, qualitative level and quantitative. Like in sleep, how many hours to sleep? It's all quantitative. How many hours to work, etc., etc., all this. Same way, there is a verbal discipline. Yeah. Avoid using words which create conflict. Especially that's how you should avoid arguments with the person. Because that always generate heat, right? Even between husband, wife and all, they keep arguing to each other. And so it's all quantitative level. Qualitative level also, verbal discipline can be there. Satyam bruyat, priyam bruyat, asatyamapi apriyam na bruyat. Manusmriti. So always speak truth and always speak, the words which are sweet, etc. All this. So all these things, verbal discipline also bring alertness. Physical discipline also bring alertness. Then sensory discipline, etc. Well, you know that there are certain things you should not contact through your eyes. It can, because what you contact through the eyes, they are basically gateways. So the world enters through the gateways and can create a havoc in the mind. So we avoid. So when mechanically it is going there, automatic, without your deliberation. So consciously you try to curb them, etc. So discipline also can help. So if such kind of things are there, and the meditation also bring alertness, you will come to know your ways of thinking. Or all japa, etc. help you to know the ways of thinking. Some people do, they just watch their thoughts. And then they realize that, see, this is where my mind is going without my consent. Unconsciously it is going. And more you do japa, etc., more you bring the focus, more you become conscious of your ways of thinking. All this help for the alertness. And that alertness can help for the person, well, to bring the teaching consciously into his daily life. But more than that, the best thing is understanding this, that since I am a whole being, there is nothing other than me which is real, everything is just apparent, and therefore any feeling even which is arising in my mind, the very feeler is Brahman, the feeling is Brahman, what is felt is Brahman, etc. That works as a therapy also, and that works as a welcoming these emotions, etc. You will not have once you become a victim of certain emotion, and you survive that attack of that emotion, etc. Well, then you will not welcome that feeling. But if you have this thing, this cognition, I am Purnaha, etc., which I am going to talk tomorrow. So that I find that is the thing where you even include in the self. Then nothing to bother. Yeah. Otherwise the fight between you and your emotions, feelings, continue in 1 or other degrees. Never ends in life. This is my answer, okay? And otherwise worry, sometimes, when any worry arises, we should know the nature of worry. Sometimes we worry, and for the things like physical health, we keep worrying. There are 2-3 areas where we worry more. One is a health. One is a certain threat, physical threat from some source, then you worry a lot. Health is another factor. Third is the income. All 3-4 things are there where you have worry. So then you should not escape that. Ask the question that what is the thing which I worry so far as my income is concerned. Well, then this is the thing. I may have to sell this house. I may have to move to a small house, this and that. Well, I'm ready to face, etc. So you go. After a certain thinking, you feel that you are able to handle your worry. So this is just a solution, temporary solution like that. Can one pray to the absolute reality within us or only to Ishvara? No, to Ishvara. In terms of absolute reality, is not more than one. Then you are not there. Right? In absolute reality is you. Then where is the question of praying, etc.? So when you pray, definitely you pray for certain things which you need, etc. Then you look upon yourself as an individual. And then there is a Ishvara who can fulfill this. And but Swamiji, does the Jnani pray or not? Why not? He pray. He can pray. And he may be praying. And even Bhashyakara prays, any Bhashyam he writes, before that you always find a prayer verses. We call Mangalacharanam. In a prayer verses, depending upon the subject matter, well, you will feel that sometimes he prays, that this verse will be in the form of a glory of the self-knowledge. Sometimes he prays looking upon his own teacher as like a Ishvara's form and pray. Unlike that, there are varieties of the Mangalacharanams, prayer verses. So, and other than that, Shankaracharya ji has made so many verses, stotras, etc. Right? And like even Shiva Manas Puja and Shiva Prada Kshamapana Stotra, all is prayer. So, Jnanis also can pray, but that prayer is not for their own sake. Yeah. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah. He may say that. He may pray along with us. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah. Sarve santu niramaya. But then Swamiji, when he is praying, he is not looking upon him as a Brahman. But he has assumed a role. He knows he is Brahman. Like actor knows what he is, but yet he adopts a role in a given situation. Well, so therefore, as an individual, he knows he is not an individual, but an individuality is just a role. Ego is very much there because the prarabdha is there. And therefore, to experience happiness, to experience pleasure, pain, in terms of prarabdha, ego should be there. Ego has done all this karta bhokta. So anyway, so ego is there. It's a Ishvara Sushti. So at the level of ego, he just as though comes down. Avataranam, he descends as though. Comes at the level of ego and pray for the sake of humanity. Pray. But whenever you pray to Ishvara, definitely. What is the purpose of mithya from Brahman's perspective? There is no mithya from Brahman's perspective. There is mithya from name and form, Jagat's perspective. There is no mithya from Brahman's perspective. From Brahman's perspective, there is Brahman. Nothing other than Brahman. That's called Brahman. If anything is left out from Brahman, then it is not a Brahman. Brahman means basically it's all pervasive. Ekameva advitiyam. That's how it is whole. And therefore, the mithya, etc., from the standpoint of a world. And that also we discuss all this because we take the world as a real. That also is not an issue. Taking world as a real and world is too big and you are small. World is overwhelming. World is overwhelming. Everyone is basically, in everyone's life, everyone is literally has a pain in one or other form, either from the things or either from the beings. That's world. That is the world. Therefore, and the basic line is world is real. Therefore, everything is real. And then definitely one suffers. To understand world is mithya. And when you understand anything mithya, there is a clear understanding of what is satyam. Otherwise, there is no understanding of mithya.
make you dependent because that's what makes them feel good. And
Certain,
you want to allow them the freedom to be independent. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't care about them, but how do you help them become independent?
we cannot help. Unless person desires to become independent, you cannot help.
But then they encroach on your.
So then create a boundary. There should be boundary. Boundary is required.
That's not true because people think you put a boundary.
If you don't keep a boundary, then you become vulnerable. Yeah.
You can't pursue your own.
That's true. That's what I'm saying. Because if you fulfill all the expectations, they never stop. They will have a new expectations from you. It just goes on. It just goes on till the life ends. So sometimes you have to make others realize that you have also certain goal to achieve in your life, and so far so good. This much I can help.
So you can't tell them because they come and tell you all their sorrows and they think you know something and you
But that's
tell
good.
them.
That's true. That's good that they have a trust in you, and so they tell sorrow. They may not have any other venue to vent out.
But it's a burden on the person because they don't listen to any solution you're giving them. If you tell them, please pray.
But that's a solution. You listen, them is a solution, really speaking. You need not give solution. Sometimes psychiatrists don't give solution, they just listen. No. All Swamis, we the day I start talking, you will stop coming here, I'm telling you. Everyone needs a Shrota, no one needs a Bhakta actually. You start telling your suffering, etc. I will stop you in between. That yours is not enough. I mean, yours is very, very less. Listen mine. And I'm telling you, next time you will not. Compassion.
Boundaries. Compassion for yourself.
Compassion. More you listen, more you are accommodative. Ultimately, you are the one who accommodates everything. That's how accommodation is a value. Titiksha or Kshama is a value. Everyone behaves certain way and talking in a certain way, their habits. Well, there is certain background of every person. Background could be in the childhood, etc. And therefore, the person is helpless for the behavior, etc. Because unconscious govern, and unconscious is something which you cannot know, you cannot be conscious of. If you ask the person why you are behaving like this, he said, this is what I am. I don't know the reason, but this is what I am. Really. So, a little compassion for the people. That works well. Any question?
Going back to what you said earlier, Advaiti, how can I really pray to Ishvara who is not separate from me? I'm struggling with this. It's so easy.
But
Advaiti. But as Advaiti, how can I pray to myself?
But the Advaiti, how does he eat? How does the Advaiti eat? Does the Brahman eat? Or eater eats? Please tell me.
Yeah, eater eats.
then you are not eater. You are Brahman. You stop eating. Brahman doesn't walk. Walker walks. It's vyavaharical. It's empirical. Once you understand, well, this ahankara has the same reality as the reality of the world. Identification with this body which is a part of this world, identifying with this, a general identification in terms of, so that you can experience your prarabdha in terms of pleasure, pain. If body is not conscious, how will you experience pleasure, pain? So, well, and already prarabdha is already begun, right? Body has already been begun. You know that you are not the body. When you come to know you are not the body, the next moment body lives, body dies, no? It continues for some time. So then ahankara continues for some time. Identification, general identification. I am the body, that thing has gone. But then still, part of the Ishvara Sushti, well, to enjoy, experience your karma phala of the past which you have done when you were ignorant, etc. Well, those things are, certain part of karma has begun already to fructify. That's how prarabdha, prakarshena arabdha, already begun. So till the body ends, this ego will be there. Walker, talker, seer, right? Hearer will be there. Same way, well, I am a devotee. You know the reality of the devotees, no? It's just playing role, that kind of a thing. That's what I'm saying here. Devotee praise. Ego at a level feel good. Jiva praise. Brahman doesn't pray Brahman. The person who says I am Brahman takes a walk. Then Brahman walk? No. Walker walks. Does it have that idea or not? Or he says, no, I am Brahman who is walking. That's not knowledge. Walker walks.
This is like Saddarshanam starts.
Yeah. Correct.
Who to identify as Jnani?
Unless he reveals himself through the teaching, you do not know. Because the teaching is, he talks about himself, right? If he is able to communicate to you this knowledge, well, he knows. That's it. He knows. Sometimes it happens that person knows but may not be having a communication skill. That may happen. But the person who is able to talk about this knowledge means he is talking about himself. He knows. And he is communicating also. And if you are able to follow, that's also a thing. Communication means you should be able to follow. So if you are able to follow, then definitely he knows. He cannot communicate to you and impart knowledge if he doesn't know. So ultimately, last thing is the grace of Ishvara, as we discussed in the first day. So it's purely a grace to get a teacher who is a traditional teacher, who knows how to communicate, impart this knowledge through the teaching methods. Then, well, so we need not we should pray to Ishvara that give me a good teacher which can communicate to me, which can impart knowledge to me, which can give me some clarity in terms of knowledge. So we can pray. Okay? There is a now session, right? Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om.